Those of you who have been with me since the start of me doing these videos, or if you've gone back and checked some of them out, know that I did a bunch of combis at the start of these videos, and I really enjoyed cutting them up, making different things out of them. And there's nothing I find more relaxing than a Gasland style build. So I needed to do one of these combis in a Gasland style. Now, this one I did a little while back. I smoothed the top off on the grinder. I filled the inside with JB Weld because the way the top is constructed, it gets pretty thin. And they have that weird top thing on it, the pullback top made into the casting. And by doing that, it creates some thin spots when you try and smooth it out. So got that covered with JB Weld, ground that smooth. Now I'm cutting back the back exhaust off and the wheelie bars off. And so I'm going Gaslands. There aren't no wheelie bars in the Gaslands. So I think post-apocalyptic, they get blown off most cars. So there you kind of see where I'm, basically my starting point. Cut the back stuff off, smoothed out the top. Didn't have to be super smooth or anything. Then I thought, well, let me give it some battle damage. So what's better to do that with than the Dremel tool? And yeah, you don't see me use the Dremel tool off and on here. I don't usually film when I'm using the wire wheel or some other things. And for a lot of cutting, I don't really use the Dremel tool, where a lot of other people do. I'll use the jeweler's saw or the X-Acto saw, something like that. But for causing some battle scars, there's nothing better than the Dremel tool. I think that's my fear is, and I do need to practice with the Dremel tool a lot more, but my fear is that I'm going to inadvertently give a project that doesn't need battle scars. So I hit it a few times here, just trying to dig in some gouges, that kind of thing. Make it look like it's had a rough life. I find these builds really relaxing, and I think it's because they don't have to look pretty. The finish is going to look rough no matter what. You can kind of glue all kinds of crap on there, and if you like it, you just pop it off. If you like it, you leave it. If you don't like it, you just pop it off and try something else. So it's I find them fun and relaxing. And I've got a lot going on right now, and this is a nice way to escape from all of that for a little while. And my next few builds are I'm kind of building them between two locations, and I'll explain that in a minute. I'm a Patreon subscriber to Sable Badger, and he releases a lot of great 3D stuff, post-apocalyptic designs, stuff for gaming, all kinds of stuff. I really like the guns that he designs. Not to mention a lot of the other things, but I've used the hell out of the guns. So that's where these are from. I like the ones on the sides of the Kombi. When he did those, he obviously made matching pairs. You didn't even have to flip the design in the printer. He made the different ones. I knew I wanted to put something on top of the Kombi. And after I did this, I realized that maybe this is a bad habit of mine. When I do these post-apocalyptic ones, I almost always put a gun on the top. And maybe I need to get away from that for a while. I don't want them also to be too predictable, because I don't think they would be in that kind of environment. But here we go. I decided on the guns. Not on the flamethrower, on the guns. It's so many choices. And I think he just released more guns. I think I just got an email notification that he released more guns on his Patreon page. And then it was time to add some skulls. Now, I've had a box of Citadel skulls, for almost a year now. So I got those out, and put a few things on there I thought would look good. Then I got out the wire mesh. I wasn't going to put the glass in it. So used the CA glue to hold the wire mesh in. And then that little scrap, you see that little scrap I'm sticking on there? That's a scrap. It came out of the box of scraps. That's cut off of something else. I couldn't tell you what right now. But it just seemed nice and heavy for the back. And I thought, okay, well, I'm imagining the engine more inside of this vehicle, more towards the center over the wheelbase, as opposed to the Volkswagen engine that's there originally just hanging off the back. And as a result, I do something else. You see that little stack sticking out of the top? I'm thinking of that as the exhaust. I'm keeping these wheels. Not much of the wheels shows on the Kombi, as you're probably well aware of from the opening shot. So all I end up doing on this, I throw it in super clean to strip off the chrome and then painted it. You'll notice here I have my post-apocalyptic technical consultant is Mike Hawkins. When I do these, he's my go-to guy if I have questions. I run them past him, and I showed him a preliminary shot of this, and he liked it, but his comment was, it needs more skulls. And I have to admit, I followed his advice. I added skulls where the headlights were, which was his suggestion as well. And I really like how it looks. Now, once I had all the crap glued on it that I was gluing on, you'll notice the background, the mat I'm working on is a different color. That's because this is being done away from my normal bench at what's going to be the future bench, which is about 40 miles away from here. I'm moving from one location to another as my job's coming to an end here in the not too distant future. And so anyhow, I'll be moving there. And you saw a video earlier about me planning to do some work on the bench at the new location, my childhood home. So since I was at this other location, I didn't have all my stuff with me. I had hit the body there with Army Painter Dragon Red. I hit it also on the bottom half with black, the Army Painter Black primer. And then I took these pins with me. And so what I did is I basically gave a base color. Like the front skull, I wanted that to be thought of as metal, like almost like a battering ram kind of thing. And similar, there's one on the back that I also did in silver, which I was thinking almost of as like a back bumper kind of thing, protection for the back of the vehicle, in addition to that big, heavy bumper. And so that's why those are done in silver. And then I did all of the other little skulls in white, because I know what I'm going to do here in a little bit to them. So I basically want to get these colors kind of down there bright. I'm just using the pins for that. They didn't have to be super precise. They didn't have to get all the way to the edges. So they worked out really well for what I was trying to do, because these colors are going to be just a base. I'm going to go over them with Nuln Oil. And so this was basically to make those colors stand out from the red. In the case of the guns, to make them look black before I hit them with the Nuln Oil. And so the Nuln Oil obviously is going to weather everything. And where I wasn't able to get, say with the skulls, where I wasn't able to get the white to go, it's just as well. Because when I hit it with the Nuln Oil, that almost ends up looking like more buildup of dirt and gunk and Lord knows what. So while you see them standing out really brightly right now because of the pins, that's not how it ends up in the end. And even the red, you'll notice, with the Nuln Oil, it'll really change that. And for the icing on the cake, so to speak, Citadel Typhus Corrosion, which, if I had to think of a way to describe it for anyone who's never used it and never really seen what it looks like in person, it's like dirt in a bottle. It's like a bottle of mud. You'll notice the brush I'm using. I don't know if you noticed it already. I hope you'll see it again here in a second. I don't recall. But that brush is beat to hell. And again, it's because basically you're brushing mud on. So there you have how I ended up with the paint. I did go over it with matte clear prior to what you're seeing there. After the paint was all done, just to seal it in. Went over the wheels on the Kombi with the Typhus Corrosion as well, which it's funny because you'll see it here in a second when I laid that stuff on pretty heavy on those wheels. And the first time, you get the body together here, and the first time I go to roll it, it doesn't roll all that well. Basically because the darn wheels, I painted one of the wheels, at least one of them, solid. It basically had Typhus Corrosion mud in it. And so once I spun them, then it ran. It rolls fine now. But at first it was like, what the hell? So I really like how this has this, yeah, it just wasn't going. Once I freed them up here, yeah, then it rolls fine. But I'm really happy with the base coat that I put down of that Army Primer Dragon Red. I like the cast that it gives the final Kombi here. So there you have the killer Kombi. There's some still shots coming up that give you a little bit better look at it in a little bit better light. I wish the lighting here gave a better view of it. It's just the lighting's too dark in some of this. And so you'll see here coming up in the stills. I took it outside and took some shots out there. And they give you a better feel for what it truly looks like sitting in front of me right now on the bench. So there you have it. I think it has the appropriate number of skulls now. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. One thing I'm adding to this video that I need to mention is way back in January of this year, those of us in the YouTube video diecast community were concerned that our videos weren't going to be allowed on because of the age restrictions that we were concerned about. And so at the time I created a Patreon page and never mentioned it since then. It's been around since the start of the year. I thought it was going to be my safety net in case they did take down the YouTube videos. Well, Adam Bowen somehow tracked down the fact that I had one and became a subscriber. So this is the first video I've done since I've actually had a subscriber. So I wanted to give him a shout out. So thanks for that. And thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next one.